The small alien girl sat alone on the metal steps of the abandoned outpost, her thin legs pulled close to her chest. Her name was Lyra, and she looked no older than 10 in human years. Her eyes, large and glowing softly in the dark, stared at the empty landing pad. She watched it the same way every evening, as if the stars might suddenly open and send her parents back to her. For many years, she waited in the same place. Cold winds moved across the moon's dusty surface. The sky above was filled with broken satellites, old ships, and silent space debris. This moon had once been part of a busy mining system. Now it was forgotten by almost everyone except Lyra. In her small hands, she held a broken communicator. Its screen was cracked. Its signal light never turned on. But she kept it close to her heart because it was the last thing her parents left her. They had told her, "Wait here. We will return for you. We promise." So she waited. Every day, she cleaned the landing pad. She pushed away dust with her tiny feet so her parents' ship would see a clear place to land. Every night, she climbed to the old watchtower and looked at the stars for hours. She never stopped hoping, but deep inside, she felt a quiet fear. What if they did not return? What if something happened to them? What if she was truly alone? These thoughts lived in her heart, but she never spoke them. She was afraid that if she spoke them aloud, they might become real. The outpost was silent now. Machines no longer worked. The storage units were empty. Only 2 things lived on this moon: Lyra and the creatures that came at night. Strange, metallic drones with sharp claws that searched for energy. Lyra learned how to hide from them. She lived inside old tunnels during storms. She cooked small meals using leftover power cells. She survived, but she never stopped waiting. Then one evening, something unusual happened. A bright light appeared in the sky. Lyra stood up quickly. Her heart started beating fast. The light grew bigger, louder, stronger. Dust lifted from the ground. A ship was coming. A real ship. She ran forward, her bare feet kicking up cold soil. Her hands trembled around the broken communicator. Maybe this was the day she had been waiting for. Maybe this was her parents returning at last. The ship came down rough, shaking the ground. It was not her people's design. It was a human supply ship, but Lyra did not care. She only cared that someone was finally landing here. As the ramp lowered, a human man stepped out. His name was Evan, a supply pilot who had stopped only because a storm forced him to. He looked around, confused. No outpost was marked on his map. No colony should exist here. Then he saw her, a thin, silent girl standing completely still, staring at him. Evan froze. He had flown across many worlds, but he had never seen a child living alone in such a dead place. Her clothes were worn. Her hair was tangled. Her small body looked tired, but her eyes were full of hope. She took one step toward him. Are you here for me?" she asked in a soft voice. Evan did not answer immediately. He did not know what she meant. He did not know her story. But her question hit him like a weight. He saw fear and hope mixed inside her shining eyes. She held up the broken communicator. "Did my parents send you?" she whispered. Evan felt something twist inside him. He could tell from her face that she had asked this question many times in her life and had never received an answer. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He did not want to break her heart. He did not want to give her false hope either. Around them, the wind grew stronger. The storm clouds above rolled like dark waves. The outpost creaked with old metal sounds. Lyra looked at Evan with all her hope, waiting for him to say something anything. Evan slowly knelt down. So he was not towering over her. His eyes softened. He did not know who she was or how long she had been here, but he knew one thing. She should not be alone. He whispered, "I am not here because of your parents. But I am here now. Lyra's small shoulders shook. She did not know whether to smile or cry. Evan reached out his hand slowly. The storm thundered above them. Lyra looked at his hand, then at the sky, then back at him. In that moment, her life was about to change, and she had no idea how. Evan had met many strange things in the galaxy, but nothing felt as strange or as heavy as the silence between him and the small alien girl standing in front of him. The storm winds pushed dust across the landing pad, but she did not move. She kept looking at his outstretched hand like it was something she had never seen before. Something she wanted to touch, but feared would disappear. Her name came in. A small whisper. Lyra. Evan repeated it softly. Lyra. How long have you been here? She looked down at the broken communicator in her hands instead of answering. It was clear she had been alone far too long. Her skin looked cold. Her clothes were thin. She looked like a child who had learned to act strong because the world refused to take care of her. Evan felt a tightness in his chest. He knew he should return to his ship, check repairs, request emergency clearance. His job did not allow delays. His life did not include unexpected children on dead moons. But somehow, walking away from her did not feel possible. When he stepped inside the old outpost, she followed him quietly, almost like a shadow. She stayed close to the door, not wanting to enter too far. The place was dark, with broken lights and empty shelves. Dust covered everything. Evan turned on a portable lamp. Soft white light filled the room. Lyra's eyes widened. She had not seen a working light in years. He placed a warm food packet on a crate and opened it. The smell of steam filled the cold air. Lyra stared at the food as if she did not believe it was real. Go ahead, Evan said gently. It's for you. She stepped forward slowly, carefully. Her hands shook as she picked up the warm packet. When she tasted the food, tears formed in her eyes. She tried to hide them, turning her head away, but Evan noticed. How long have you been alone? He asked quietly. She swallowed hard before answering. I don't count days, I only wait. She looked at him again. Waiting is the only thing I know. Her words felt like a knife. Evan walked around the room, checking the old systems. Nothing worked. The power cells were dead. The security screens had cracks everywhere. He connected his own device to an old terminal, hoping to see any report that might explain why a child was abandoned. Here, what he found made his face go pale. There were no reports of returning parents, no rescue missions, no lost family notices, no active ID linked to her name. It was as if someone erased her from the system. Then he found something worse. The last registered ship that left this moon departed many years ago. Without any child listed on board, someone had left her behind. Someone had decided she did not matter. Evan shut down the screen quickly before Lyra saw it. He did not want those words to be the first truth she heard. She stood near the door, holding her communicator tightly. Did you find something? She asked. Evan forced a small smile. Not yet. Systems are old. Her eyes studied his face, like she was trying to read lies or hope. She wasn't sure which. He changed the topic. What do you do at night? The metal creatures out there, they're dangerous. She nodded slowly. I hide. They come looking for energy. I don't make noise. If they hear sound, they come. She pointed at the floor. I sleep there. The ground keeps me warm. Evan looked at the cold metal floor. The idea of a child sleeping on freezing steel made his stomach twist. Outside, thunder hit the sky again. The storm grew harder, darker, louder. Wind pushed at the outpost walls. We should stay inside until the storm passes, Evan said. Lyra sat down on the metal floor again, hugging her knees, as if her body was trained to return to that position. It was her safe shape, her waiting shape. Evan placed his jacket around her shoulders. She touched it softly, surprised by its warmth. Why did you give me this? She asked. Because you're freezing. Evan replied that no one had given her anything in years. The simple kindness confused her. Then something outside hit the wall, a sharp metallic sound. Lyra's eyes widened. They came early today. Evan moved toward the window. In the darkness, he saw red lights moving, scavenger drones prowling through the storm. He turned back to her. "Stay behind me." She looked at him with fear. And also hope. For the first time in her long, lonely life, Lyra was not facing danger alone, and Evan, who never planned to land on this moon, now understood one thing clearly. He could not walk away from this child, not tonight. Maybe not ever. The storm outside grew louder, shaking the old outpost like it was made of thin paper. Dust hit the metal walls again and again, sounding like claws scratching to get in. Evan stood near the broken window, watching the red lights approach through the darkness. They moved slowly, hunting, searching. Lyra pressed herself against the wall, holding the communicator close to her chest. She had seen these metal creatures many times. She knew what they could do. And she knew they never stopped until they found something living. "Stay low," Evan whispered. Lyra nodded, but her breathing grew fast. The storm winds roared, and then, clang! Something slammed against the outer door. "Why are they here so early?" Evan asked in a low voice. "They smell energy," Lyra whispered. "Your ship has more power than anything left on this moon." "They will not leave now," Evan cursed under his breath. His ship was outside, half repaired, and now the metal creatures would tear it apart. Their sharp claws could rip through steel. If the ship was destroyed, they would be trapped on this dead moon forever. Another clang, another scratch. The red lights grew brighter. Evan scanned the room quickly, searching for anything he could use to block the door. But everything was broken or rusted. The outpost had been dead for years. Then Lyra tugged on his sleeve gently. "Come," she whispered. "I know a place." She guided him to a narrow crack in the back wall. It didn't look like a door. Lyra pushed a hidden panel, and part of the metal slid aside, revealing a small tunnel. "You built this?" Evan asked. She shook her head. "No, my parents made it before they left. They said it was only for danger. I slept here many nights." Evan felt a stab of pain again. How many nights had this child hidden inside this narrow tunnel, waiting alone for parents who never came back? Another loud metal screech came from the front of the outpost. Sparks flew under the main door. The creatures were cutting their way inside. "We need to go," Evan said quickly. Lyra crawled into the tunnel first. She moved fast like someone who had used these tunnels many times. Evan followed, though the space was tight for a human. He had to bend low, scraping his knees on the rough ground. The tunnel was dark, except for the small glow from Lyra's eyes. She turned back to check on him several times. "You okay?" she whispered. "I'm fine. Keep going." Behind them, the outer door crashed open. The metal creatures entered the outpost with loud clicking noises. Evan felt the vibrations through the tunnel walls. Their claws scraped, their scanners hummed, and their metal feet clanged heavily on the ground. Lyra's voice trembled. "There are many today." "How many?" Evan asked. "At least 6. Maybe more." The echo of sharp metal claws confirmed it. They were spreading through the outpost, pulling apart machinery, looking for anything alive, anything with heat, movement, or energy. Lyra led Evan through a second exit. They reached a hidden chamber deeper underground. It was small but safe. Old blankets lay on the floor, and burned-out lamps hung from the wall. This had been her home for a long time. Evan looked around slowly, feeling his throat tighten. "You lived here?" Lyra nodded. "Only when the creatures came. I stayed above on quiet nights. I waited for my parents where the sun sets." Her voice softened. "I wanted them to see me easily." Evan sat down beside her. The room felt too quiet. Now, the sounds of the metal creatures above echoed faintly, searching, breaking, destroying. "Lyra," he whispered gently. "How did you survive all these years alone?" She looked at her communicator. "I believed they would come back. I thought if I waited long enough, they would see me. If I stayed alive, they would find me." She paused, then added, "Waiting was my only hope." Evan felt something sharp twist in his chest. This child had built her entire world around hope that was never answered. Her whole life had been shaped by loneliness and fear. And yet she still waited. Before he could speak, a new sound echoed through the tunnels. A deeper hum. A heavier vibration. Something bigger had arrived. Lyra's eyes widened. "That one is the leader drone." Evan stood up quickly. "What does that mean?" "It means," Lyra whispered, "they will not leave until they take everything." The storm raged above. Red lights flickered through cracks in the ceiling. The drones were closing in. And for the first time, Evan realized something terrifying. This moon was not just lonely. It was deadly. He and Lyra were trapped underground with only one chance left. Survive the night together. The underground chamber vibrated as the leader drone moved above them. Its heavy steps made dust fall from the ceiling. Every vibration felt like a countdown. One mistake, one sound, and the creature would find the tunnel entrance. Lyra sat close to the wall, hugging her communicator tightly. Evan crouched beside her, watching the tunnel shadows and listening to the dangerous hum echoing above. He had dealt with hostile drones before, but this moon's machines were different, older, broken, desperate for energy. They hunted like starving animals. "We can't stay here long," Evan whispered. Lyra nodded, but her eyes were full of fear. "There is another tunnel, but it is small. Only I used it." Evan studied the child's thin form, and then looked at the narrow stone crack near the chamber floor. He wasn't sure he could fit, but staying here was suicide. The leader drone was searching for warmth, and two living bodies trapped underground would be like a beacon. Evan pulled out his datapad, hoping to find a map or some information about this moon. The device flickered, then connected to old files, stored in the outpost's memory. Most data was damaged, but one folder opened, personnel records. He scrolled through names until he found something that made him freeze. Name: Lyrana Vey. Age: 6 cycle. Status: Dependent Guardians: Colin Vey. Myra Vey. Last recorded departure: Moon Outpost 12 return mission. Cancelled reason: classified. Evan's breath caught. Cancelled return mission? Classified reason? He opened the second file. The words were blurry, but he could still read enough. Parents refused mining directive. Arrest approved. Transported to sector facility 9. Outcome terminated. Evans' hands went cold. Her parents were never lost. They were never coming back. And Lyra had waited years for ghosts. He looked at Lyra, sitting on the floor, her eyes fixed on the ceiling where the drone stomped back and forth. She looked small but strong, scared but hopeful. She believed her parents were alive somewhere. Searching for her. Evan closed the datapad immediately. He couldn't tell her. Not yet, not here. Not while the world above them was trying to kill them. But Lyra saw something in his face. "Did you find something?" she asked in a soft voice. Evan forced a steady breath. "Just old files. Nothing useful yet." She didn't look convinced. Her big glowing eyes studied him deeply, as if she could feel the truth hiding in his silence. Another loud crash echoed from above. The leader drone had found something and was smashing it apart. Sparks and shadows flickered through cracks. Lyra whispered, "If they find the power core, they will explode it. The whole outpost will fall." Evan stood quickly. "We need to move now." Lyra crawled toward the tiny side tunnel. She squeezed into it easily, her small body fitting through the tight space. Evan followed behind, pulling himself slowly, scraping his elbows and knees. The tunnel bent downward, then upward, then sideways through layers of stone and metal. Lyra whispered directions. Left here. Careful, the floor breaks. Stay low at the next turn. She knew these tunnels. Like they were part of her own body. They stopped when they reached a wider space. Old machines sat here half broken, covered in dust, maybe part of the outpost's first mining installation. Lyra walked forward and touched an old control panel. The screen lit faintly. This machine listens to the whole outpost. She explained. I used it to hear where the drones walked. Evan raised an eyebrow. You learned all this alone? She nodded. I had to survive. Her voice carried strength, but also pain. The kind of pain only someone abandoned could understand. Evan looked away, fighting the urge to tell her everything right now. But the truth would shatter her, and she had already lived through too much. He checked the panel. The drones were spreading across the upper levels. But then he saw something strange, something moving toward them from the eastern tunnels. A heat signature. Alive, not metal. His heart raced. Someone else was here. Lyra noticed his expression. What is it? Evan pointed at the glowing mark. There's someone else underground. Lyra's face changed instantly, from fear to shock. No, she whispered. No one lives here. No one, except me. But the screen did not lie. Someone or something was coming toward them, and whatever it was, it moved with purpose. As the leader drone roared in the distance, Evan realized one terrifying truth. This moon had more secrets than he imagined. And Lyra's past was only the first one. The glowing heat mark on the screen moved closer, slowly but surely, through the underground tunnels. Evan and Lyra both stared at the faint signal, unsure what it meant. The moon was dead. The outpost was abandoned. There should have been no living thing here except Lyra. Maybe it is a big animal? She whispered. Evan shook his head. No, animals move in patterns. This one moves like a person. He touched the screen. And it's coming straight toward us. Lyra stepped back, fear rising in her eyes. No one else lived here, I would know. I searched everywhere. The chamber trembled. The leader drone smashed something above them again. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin clouds. The monsters were growing violent. The energy storm outside only made them hungrier. Evan lowered his voice. We can't stay here. If someone or something is coming through these tunnels, we need to be ready. But before they could move, the screen flickered again. The heat signature was now closer. Much closer. A deep metallic echo came from the left tunnel. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, not human. Evan pulled Lyra behind him instinctively. Then a shape entered the dim light. It was not a person. It was a machine. But not like the drones above. This one was older than the outpost. Its body was made of rusted plates. Its limbs long and thin, like an old worker robot. But its center glowed with a weak blue light. Lyra gasped. I know this one. It used to help my parents. It shut down when they didn't come back. The robot turned its head slowly toward them. Its eyes flickered as if waking after a long sleep. Evan raised his hands. Easy, we won't hurt. You. The robot scanned him, then scanned Lyra. Its voice crackled like broken wires. Directive, protect child. Threat level, maximum. Without warning, the robot stepped forward and shielded Lyra with its body. Evan stepped back, shocked. It remembers you, Evan whispered. Lyra touched the robot's metal arm gently. I thought you were gone. The robot's eyes glowed brighter. Energy detected. Danger level increasing. Location unsafe. From above, the leader drone roared again, sending a violent vibration through the tunnels. The robot reacted instantly. Evacuate. Evacuate. Evan looked up. Cracks formed in the ceiling. We need to get out before this whole place collapses. The robot moved toward a hidden door in the stone wall. It punched the old lock until it broke, revealing another tunnel, one Evan had never seen on the map. Lyra looked at him with fear. You must come, you can't stay here. But Evan hesitated. His ship was still outside. Without it, they would be trapped forever. He knew he needed to protect Lyra, but he also needed a plan to escape this moon. A sharp crash above forced him to choose. Survival first. The ship could wait. Go, he told Lyra. Stay behind the robot. I'll follow. They entered the tunnel. The robot walked ahead, its blue core lighting the narrow path. Where does this lead? Evan asked. Lyra answered. My parents called it the deep tunnels. They said they go under everything, even under the creature nests. Evan exhaled. Perfect. Just what we need. More nests. Lyra tried to smile but couldn't. She looked scared. Yet she kept moving. Her legs were shaking, but she did not stop. For the first time since Evan met her, she was not waiting. She was choosing to move forward. To survive. Suddenly the ground shook. A terrible ripping sound tore through the tunnel. A huge piece of ceiling collapsed behind them, blocking the path they came from. Lyra gasped. We cannot go back now, Evan nodded. Then we go forward. The robot scanned the tunnel ahead. Multiple threats detected. Child must stay between protector and human. Lyra grabbed Evan's sleeve. You won't leave me, right? Her voice was so small, so fragile. Evan knelt beside her. No, I won't leave you. Not now, not ever. She swallowed hard and nodded, trying to be brave. Her voice steadied. Then I will not leave you either. This time, Evan was the one surprised. He had expected a frightened child. But what he saw was something stronger. A girl who refused to be abandoned again. The robot suddenly raised its arm. Warning. Enemy approaching. Red glows appeared in the dark ahead. Drones. Not just one. Many. Evan stood up fast. Get ready. We fight through them. Lyra did not hide. She stepped forward, standing between Evan and the robot, her small body trembling but unbroken. She had waited her whole life for someone to come. Now she would fight to keep the one person who finally did. The tunnel was dark, narrow, and cold. Red lights flickered ahead. The drones were approaching fast. Their metal claws scraped against stone, and the echo of their movements shook the walls. Lyra held Evan's hand tightly, her small fingers trembling, but her eyes were steady. She had survived alone for years, and now she refused to run. The old robot moved ahead, its blue core glowing. Its metal limbs shifted silently, shielding Lyra from view. Evan followed closely, scanning the tunnel. Every corner could hide danger. Every sound could mean the end. Stay behind me, Evan whispered. I won't, Lyra replied. Her voice was quiet but firm. Not this time, he looked down at her. She was small, fragile, and alone in a world that had already taken too much from her. And yet, she refused to be left behind again. A sudden flash of red light lit the tunnel. One of the drones lunged toward them, its sharp claws slicing the air. Evan grabbed Lyra and pulled her aside just in time. Sparks flew from the stone wall where the drone's claws hit. Lyra's heart pounded, but she did not cry. The robot moved forward, swinging its long metal arm. It knocked another drone into the wall with a loud clang. The drone crashed to the floor, sparks scattering in every direction. Keep moving. Evan shouted. The trio ran through the tunnel. Stones cracked under their feet. Dust filled their lungs. Lyra struggled to keep up, but Evan would not let go of her hand. Every step felt heavier, every breath sharper. She had never run like this before, never fought for her life beside someone she trusted. They reached a chamber, a wider space with a ceiling high enough for them to stand. The room smelled of old machinery and metal. Evan looked around. There was only one way forward, a narrow tunnel lit faintly by the robot's core. Lyra glanced back. Behind them, the drones were following. Their red lights glowed like fireflies, relentless and deadly. We can't outrun them, Evan said. We have to fight or hide. Lyra shook her head. I will not hide anymore. Not from them. Not from life. Evan stared at her, amazed. She was just a child, but her courage shone brighter than anything he had seen. The first drone lunged. At them, Lyra reacted instinctively. She kicked a broken pipe on the floor, sending it spinning into the drone. Sparks flew as it hit the drone's sensors. The machine staggered, giving Evan a chance to push her through the tunnel. The next drones attacked in waves. The robot moved with precision, blocking attacks, shielding Lyra, and keeping the machines off balance. Evan joined in, using loose metal rods as weapons. The fight was desperate. Every strike, every movement could mean survival or death. Suddenly, one of the drones smashed through a side wall. Dust and debris rained down. Lyra stumbled. Evan lunged to catch her, but a sharp piece of metal grazed his arm. Pain shot through him, but he ignored it. His focus was on Lyra, on keeping her alive. She looked up at him, eyes wide. Don't leave me, she cried. I won't, he panted, gripping her shoulder. The leader drone appeared next, bigger and more dangerous than the others. Its red eyes glowed, scanning. Lyra froze for a moment. Fear mixed with determination. She realized that if they didn't act now, all hope would be lost. Evan, we fight together, she said. He nodded. Together, they charged forward. The robot stepped between them and the drone, swinging its arms with force. Lyra followed. Evan's lead, using every small tool in her hands to strike at the drone. Sparks flew, metal screamed, and the chamber shook with the force of the fight. Finally, the leader drone staggered and fell into a pile of broken machinery. The remaining drones paused, confused. The robot's blue core glowed brighter, signaling victory, but only temporary. Evan turned to Lyra. His arm ached, his chest burned, but he smiled faintly. You did it, he said. Lyra looked at him, breathing hard. She felt something she had not felt in years: strength, hope, and the realization that she was not alone. But their escape was not yet complete. The tunnel behind them had collapsed. During the fight, the path forward was their only chance. They had survived the drones, but the storm outside, the collapsing outpost, and the unknown moon awaited them. Evan knew what he had to do next. The choice was heartbreaking. Tell Lyra the truth about her parents, or wait until they reached safety. He knelt down beside her and whispered, Soon, I will tell you everything. But right now, we survive first. Lyra nodded. She understood. Words could wait. Survival could not. Together, the human, the girl, and the robot stepped forward into the unknown. Their bond had grown stronger in the fight, and Lyra realized something important. For the first time in her life, she was no longer waiting. She was living, and living meant fighting. The tunnel finally ended. Light streamed in from a small opening, and the cold, dusty air of the abandoned moon was replaced by fresh, crisp wind. Lyra squinted against the brightness, her small body trembling, not from fear, but from exhaustion and relief. She had survived the storm, the drones, and the loneliness that had haunted her for so many years. Evan helped her step onto solid ground. The robot followed, its blue core dimming slightly after the long battle. The open sky above looked endless, filled with stars and distant planets. But this time, the stars did not feel empty. For the first time, Lyra felt like someone was watching over her, not her absent parents, but a human who had chosen to stay. Evan looked at her. His hands were scratched and bloody, his jacket torn, but his eyes shone with determination. We made it, he said softly. Lyra looked up at him. We survived. Her voice was small but full of meaning. She realized something she had not allowed herself to feel in years. Hope. Not waiting for it. Feeling it now. Evan pulled a small communicator from his pocket. I've contacted a nearby human colony. They can take us in. You'll be safe there. Lyra hesitated. A colony. Will people care? Evan smiled gently. Yes, they will. And you will have a home. A real home this time. She took a deep breath. For years, she had imagined what it would be like if someone cared. Someone really cared. And now, it was happening. She realized she could stop waiting. She could stop holding on to the past that never returned. The journey to the colony was not easy. The ship's engines groaned under the strain of the storm. Evan piloted carefully, keeping Lyra close. She clutched the robot's arm, feeling its warmth and stability. Though small and fragile, she felt strong. She had fought, survived, and chosen to move forward. When they finally arrived at the colony, lights flickered warmly in the dark. The streets were filled with humans and other aliens, all moving, living, and laughing. The sounds were foreign, but comforting. For the first time, Lyra did not feel invisible. She did not feel abandoned. She felt alive. Evan led her into the settlement. People stopped and stared. A small alien girl with strange glowing eyes and tattered clothes stepped into their world. But instead of fear, they offered smiles and soft words. This way, Evan said, guiding her to a building with warmth, food, and light. Lyra's eyes widened at the sight of blankets, tables filled with meals, and children laughing. She stepped inside slowly, taking it all in. Evan placed his hand on her shoulder. You are safe now. No one will leave you behind again. Lyra looked around. She felt a strange mixture of grief and relief. Her parents would never return. That truth still hurt. But something new was growing in her heart. She did not need to wait for the past to change her life. She had a chance to live her life herself with people who cared. With friends, with hope. She found a quiet corner and set down her broken communicator. The device had been her only link to the parents who would never come back. She touched it gently, whispered goodbye, and left it there. It was time to stop waiting, to stop hoping for something that was gone. Evan watched her. He felt proud, even though he had not done much except stay with her. He realized something important. Sometimes survival is not enough. Sometimes someone needs to show you that life can be better, even when the past has failed you. Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes bright and steady. You didn't rewrite my life, she said softly. You gave me a new one. Evan smiled. Then let's make it the best one. The robot stepped beside her, its blue core glowing faintly. It had protected her for years, silently waiting for the right moment to act. Now in the colony filled with warmth and life, it could rest. Lyra knelt and touched its arm, a silent thank you for its years of protection. The sun of this human colony rose slowly over the settlement. Light spilled into every street, every corner, every heart. Lyra stepped forward, finally free of the shadows that had haunted her. She looked at the people around her, and for the first time, she did not feel small. She felt strong. She felt alive. And she knew one thing clearly. Her life had changed forever. She had waited for years, alone and abandoned. But now she had someone who cared. A home, friends, and hope. The past could not touch her anymore. The future was hers to choose, and with Evan by her side, she was ready to live it.